What's up, Soul Tribe, Soul Fam, Cosmic Peeps? I know I posted about belief systems yesterday, and it's a theme in my work. It's a major theme in my work, in my coaching business and practice. But it's so important, man. It's so important that we become aware of what we have, of our actual belief systems. Because if we're not aware of it, then everybody wants, like, on some level we all want to live our dream life, right? With the money and the house and the spouse, and or sometimes, and like, not everybody wants that, like, but we all have our actual dream life, and then we have overlays of what other people thought our dream life should look like. Society has a lot major and has a big vested interest in making sure that people do that, as many people as possible. Our families, oftentimes. But this is why, like, divorce rates are so high, and like having a nervous breakdown or a midlife crisis in the middle of your life is so common in this culture. It's not really a thing in other human societies or history. And I believe the reason it is in this culture is because so many of us buy into shit that wasn't ours, especially in our 20s. If between 18 and 20 or 25, if you start having kids or go to school for some degree that you don't even fucking want to do to please your family, that cycle will pan out over the next 10 to 20 years. And then, when you realize that you're living somebody else's life and you're not happy and everything collapses, that's when, midlife crises happen so often, late 30s to 40s. We can waste half of our life or more. We can waste the whole fucking thing living somebody else's version of what we're supposed to be doing, man. And for me, this came up big because over the last few years, as I've been, after getting the whole thing, like, blown apart and having to rebuild from nothing with nothing, 2023, 4, 5, I realized that a lot of my belief system was around money and value, and this is really big for men. I think it's kind of universal in our culture, but thinking that I had to make hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, and then I could do the work that I really wanted, the spiritual work, on the side, as an afterthought, as like a side project, as once I had the money and I didn't have to worry about anything, then I could do the stuff that was like spiritual or love or not, like, non-profit oriented, and a lot of that comes down to, like, in some of my primary relationships, money was how people showed love, if at all. But the flip side of that is that was used for control and coercion later on, and the kind of I don't know. In my case, it was unspoken for many years. But the golden child and the scapegoat dynamic played out through this big time, and I didn't see it until just recently, when events took a turn for the satanic. People get funny about money. People will do all kinds of stuff, up to and including, like, having their own family killed or killing them, taking out fake insurance policies, life insurance policies. It's weird. It's kind of stuff, dude. You would think this stuff never really happens, but it's actually the bulk of law, going back at least through, like, common law in the United States and England, where our system of law came from, primarily. These kind of things, and the infighting between, like, the royal families and the wealthy families and stuff like that. This was, like, some of the biggest and most consistent shit that we've had to deal with for hundreds, thousands of years. Apparently, it's wild. It's wild when it starts happening to you. But this is just one big area. It's like money. What do we believe about money? Is our self-worth tied, like, largely or exclusively to money, how much we can produce? What happens if we're injured or sick and all of a sudden we can't make money in the ways that we did before? You know, if you're a laborer and all of a sudden you lose like one of your hands or feet or legs or something like that, and then you can't do that job anymore, and you got to start over from scratch. Like, thank God we have even any amount of a fucking safety net in this country, but it's not. It's not something that many people have around the world, that many people enjoy in a lot of countries. And it's nowhere near what would be necessary. Like, a lot of European countries have more significant. And a lot of that's just cultural, too. It's baked into the culture and the cultural belief systems. And how do we view people? Are people numbers? Are people products, producers, consumers? Or are people actually human beings with hearts and souls and spirits and things that they want to do and ways that they want to contribute, in ways that they were designed by God to contribute and to work and to create? Like, that's much more along the lines of my belief system, and this is why I butted heads and was like sandpaper with my freaking family my whole life, because they mostly subscribe to the CNN, Fox News worldview, or mass media, mass consumption. Just no thinking, no thought. Tell me what to do and who to be, and we're good. And I'm literally like on the opposite end of the spectrum from that, and I internalized it for a long time, for all my life, pretty much. Although something inside me, there's a little spark inside me that always knew that it wasn't me, had nothing to do with me. And everything's confirmed now. It's been a painful process of ripping all that stuff out and examining it and putting back together piece by piece. And, I'm still in that process personally, in the healing process and in the, the sorting through what's mine, what's not. And probably that's going to be a lifetime thing, and we change and we evolve. But these kind of things are so important, man. Around money, especially money, power, wealth, connection, family, relationships, marriage. Like, all of these decisions, all of these beliefs, and the decisions we make around these beliefs, like, these are the things that absolutely determine our fucking lives. The flavor of our lives, the reality of our day-to-day experiences and existence. It's our belief system. And most of us spend most of our time swimming around in that belief system like a fish in water, completely unaware that we're even doing it, filtering everything through. That's one of the reasons meditation is so freaking awesome. Prayer, meditation, spiritual growth, evolution, like all of the tools that have been discovered and passed along for thousands of years. They help to free up our mind. They help to in some cases to get a little bit of a, whatchamacallit, kind of like a distance between our thoughts and our witnessing of the thoughts, or our experience of ourselves. Like we can sometimes create a little bit of gap through meditation, to where it's like we start seeing the chattering and the thoughts in our head, and there can be a little more space and a little more space there. And if we do it long enough, we can create significant space there, and a lot of awareness, and the realization that we're not all that. We're not just our thoughts. We're not just our mind and our brain. Our brain and nervous system is so complex, man. And just our physical body, like everything that we know now is like completely throwing the science of the past like 7 decades in the trash. It's like our skin being like a fixed barrier, and our gut just being for breakdown of like foods and like raw materials for our body to use and stuff like that. We're mostly bacteria. Our gut health and biome is like the major interface between us and the world, constantly shifting and changing, responding and reacting to what's there, what's in the outside world, and the foods that we eat, and whether we're eating like healthy food, good food, or poisonous stuff. That's going to determine, to a large extent, also our experience. And all of our brain chemistry and everything comes from that. And some of it's just, some of it's fixed, some of it's in what's up, really pretty baby. So some of it's just in the architecture of our brains. What you gonna do? You always gotta come put your face on the stuck. Go on, jump up. You're good. Still girly. Having a dog, having animals around helps so much, and I'm theorizing, like, as like, this girl has been a huge piece of my healing the last couple of years, and it's like our gut biome and stuff is so complicated when we share our space with animals regularly, and we want to keep things, clean, healthy, etc., balanced, but they have, like, we do start to share our gut biome and our breath and our lungs and our hands and our eyes and our mucous membranes. All of these, like, we're constantly receiving billions and trillions of information, 11, of cellular information from all kinds of different species in and out of our gut and brain and nervous system through these methods, through our mucosal membranes and such. And it's not just our gut; it's everywhere, And it's cool, I think, with the animals, especially because then it's like it's one more way that we're actually, like, plugging into the rest of the world, into the natural world, and to things, like, all around, outdoors and all this stuff. And the more, the more complex and well-rounded we have, like, our biome, and the more plugged in we are to healthy biomes, like, our health improves. Our grounding improves, our brain improves, our neurochemistry and all this different stuff. It's really fascinating. It's fun stuff to think about, but it occurred to me last year when, during the deep healing process and under, like, relentless attack and stalking, just, like, crazy stuff, like, my intuition and my senses sharpen, and my gut, which since having Lyme disease and this stuff some years ago, I've had really severe issues for a few years, and pretty sensitive for years after that still. But it's just crazy how much and how rapidly healing was occurring, being around the dog. And I know a lot of that is it's like feelings too. Our emotions and feelings just have such a huge impact on how our system processes everything, and whether the bugs in our gut, whether they're producing, like, healthy chemicals or stress chemicals, and then whether our body is producing those too. There's so many. It's like infinitely complex feedback loops, especially when you start talking about, like, the hormones and the endocrine system and stuff like that, and, like, sunlight and the melatonin system and all these different things. Man, it's crazy. But, like, all of this stuff, in the medical system, like, they're still using, it's like ancient science. It's like they're using leeches for bloodletting to change our humors. And at the same time, some of that old medicine and folk medicine and stuff like that, there's reasons for a lot of that old stuff too. There's truth in all of these different systems that develop over the years. But there's a lot of stupidity that passes as science, is kind of what I was trying to get out with that. And there was something else I was going to say. Dang it. Sweet doggy. Yeah, science is supposed to evolve, dude. Science is supposed to evolve and move and change with new information. And I remember the other thing. The other thing, speak about health and nutrition and emotions and all this stuff. What they found recently are relationships is the most important factor in determining health and longevity. More important than if you drink alcohol every day and smoke cigarettes and fucking whatever else. I mean, to an extent. I'm not talking about like abusing the shit out of your body, but all these things that they were saying like 10 and 20 years ago is like, it's all cholesterol and fat's bad, don't eat any fat in your diet. And now we know it's like, it's one of the most important things, especially for brain health. You know, talk about like omega-3s and stuff like that, and sugar and processed stuff, and grains often are extremely inflammatory, especially, you know, a lot of the I want to go to side of that, but eat right for your type, the blood type diet is, I haven't seen anything to replace that. You know, it's written by a naturopath, and it explains why the carnivore diet works so well for many people in the U.S. and Europe, is because we have type O blood, closest to the hunter-gatherer, type A, B, and AB, which is, you know, more in China and Asia and certain other places, kind of Middle East and Kazakhstan, and different mixtures of those bloodlines. You know, the China study, which said that like being a vegetarian is the healthiest thing, and look at all these people and how long they live and all this stuff. Or pescatarian, when you look at like Okinawa and some of the islands, and, you know, some of the Asian cultures that do eat a lot of fish, and many of them credit eating seafood with long life, which makes sense when you look at like seafood and like seaweed and seafood. Seaweed especially, I love seaweed because it's like the perfect mineral balance from the ocean. It matches our blood. Coconuts match our freaking blood. There's so many things, dude. There's so many things. But the China study, which was and is the source of many people who say, no, you need to be vegetarian. Look at the China study. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Well, yeah, that diet is right for people with those blood types, because it's all about how does your body treat different kinds of proteins. Does it act like it's a poison and attack it, and then attack itself in inflammation and auto-inflammatory diseases? Or is it like, oh yes, I recognize this. So type O blood tends to need high protein and a little bit of vegetables and fruit. That's what it thrives on. Anyways, side quest. There's so much cool shit out there. Oh yeah, but relationships. So yeah, what we eat is critical, but our relationships are so freaking important. And just checking where you get your information from. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there, and you need to check your sources. Whoever wrote the book, whoever wrote the study, whoever funded the study, key information. Because everybody's writing for a purpose and researching for a purpose, you know. And as humans, we always want our beliefs and our belief systems to be confirmed. Confirmation bias. Even those of us who love science on one level, like we still don't like finding out that we're wrong. Usually, I do personally, because I'm like, oh, cool, growth. You know, I hold things with a pretty light hand most of the time, especially now that I've found out what beliefs are mine and what are not. They never were. Relationships are the key. Having healthy relationships, healthy family. We thrive in a village of 12 to 15 immediate family members minimum, and then, you know, up to 150 friends and extended family, which was like the tribe or the village traditionally. Beyond that, our brains can't really process that much. But we really need to be around like different ages regularly. Like from kids through adults and into our elders, you know, like our nervous systems are just wired for this across millions and millions of years. It's only in the past like several decades and one or two generations that all this has been completely disrupted through the atomization of the family, splitting, restructuring of all this stuff, for better and for worse, intentionally and unintentionally. Land shark. God, land shark on duty. Watch your hands. Beliefs, dude. Beliefs. I found out so much stuff these last couple of years, and it saved my life, dude. It saved my fucking life. I realized who I was trying to live for. Who I was like, I gotta make all this money so I could be acceptable and loved, and maybe someday I'll have like 1944. That's really relevant. My grandpa was a World War II Navy pilot, and I'm not gonna get into all that right now. It's crazy. It's crazy finding all this stuff out and finding out who my family actually is, man. My father especially. Because I decided, like, fuck this, dude. I'm not gonna, like, grovel around for little pinches and crumbs of love. Bullshit. These people can't even love anyways, dude. They're not capable of it. It's sad. Sad. Money is not love. You know, we can use it. We can use it to assist. Is it trash day? Oh, it's Thursday, dude. What's going on? The money is wonderful, man. Money is freaking awesome. It's complicated. People have crazy relationships with it sometimes, but it doesn't replace love. You can't buy the important things, but you can buy a lot of stuff so that you can do the important things in your life and in the world. But it's just like that. It's like that Buddha saying, you know, don't confuse the moon with the finger pointing at the moon. You know, the money itself is the thing, the power. Money is not power, and power is not love. Power is for creation. It's supposed to be for creation. In my book. People get obsessed with it. People get obsessed with money. And the thing in the Bible that says, you know, some people get the quote mixed up about money being the root of all evil. It's the love of money. And it's not, in the real interpretation, it would be something more along the lines of obsession or like putting money ahead of love. I'm so sorry for this screen, dude. Especially when the sun's coming at certain angles, dude. This thing, I dropped my phone a couple weeks ago. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to decide whether to just fucking replace it or what. But I got other shit on my plate right now. It's the love of money, but it's more about the obsession with money, replacing love with money, putting money ahead of love, serving money instead of God. You know, Jesus talked about this a lot. It's not that money is evil, you know, it's a tool. We use it. It's all good. But we've got to keep focused with money and with everything else in the world and in our lives, man. I don't know. I think in human history, in my life, I've seen enough of where that trail leads to. Money is freaking amazing, man. Wealth is amazing. But like anything, it can be used for good or ill. And a lot of people use it for evil. A lot of people use it to cover up horrible, horrible, horrible things. A lot of people use it for control and coercion against their own family members. Openly and, you know, subtly, without saying anything. Beliefs. What do you believe? Who are you really? Who are you really, man? If you have problems in your life, I'd be willing to bet money. I'd bet money that it's because of your belief system. I think that almost all of our problems is due to some kind of conflict between who we actually are and what we actually want. And more specifically, what God designed us for to do on this earth, and who society or our family told us to be, and the fact that we're living out the latter rather than the former, and that's creating friction and resistance and pain, and then suffering unknowingly because we feel like we're doing the right thing. Our brains that are wired for connection and survival in childhood by, you know, being part of the family, being part of the tribe, especially doing what your parents tell you. It's survival, man. So we have this thing where it's like, well, I feel like I'm doing the right thing, but I don't feel good, and my life is all fucked up. What's going on? What is this about? This is what it's about right here. It's our belief systems. It's a conflict. It's a conflict between the truth and an overlayment from some other source. Just my 2 cents. Anyways, I hope you guys have or are having a beautiful day whenever you see this. And I do love you. I love you so much. Sorry, I'm petting my dog right now. I'm just imagining giving a hug to the whole Cosmic Tribe, man. I've met so many freaking beautiful, amazing people through the interwebs during this last season of incredible healing and growth. A couple in particular. Can't wait to hug. Anyways.